Howdy, everybody. So today we're going to talk about the lynching of Jesse Washington. Now, when we talk about lynching, we often think of hanging. Now, hanging is one form of lynching, but lynching really means any type of vigilante justice that usually results in torture and death. Now, I say vigilante because most of these people are not convicted of the actual crime, and those that are convicted, usually it's in some sort of kind of kangaroo court where there was not ever a fair trial. So lynching primarily targets, at least in Texas, primarily targets Black and Mexican Americans. So now this is Waco, Texas, May 15th, 1916. So about 100 years ago. So not that long in all reality. Maybe your grandparents or great grandparents would have been alive during this time. So we're talking like 2 or 3 people ago. This happened. This happened in Texas, just a few hours from DFW where we live. So keep this in mind. So Jesse Washington was convicted of raping and murdering Lucy Fryer, the wife of his white employer. Now, there was no hard evidence of this. The court was open and shut very quickly, so we don't 100% know if he did or did not do it. They think he did it. Even if he did do it, what's about to happen should not have happened. So this is the issue. So regardless of if he was innocent or guilty, what happens as soon as they issue that verdict is where it goes terribly awry. He was chained by his neck and dragged out of the county courthouse by observers. He was then paraded through the streets, all while being stabbed and beaten by the onlookers. He was then lynched in front of Waco's City Hall. Members of the mob cut off his fingers and hung him over a bonfire after saturating him with coal oil. He was repeatedly lowered and raised over the fire for about 2 hours. After the fire was extinguished, his charred torso was dragged through the town and parts of his body were sold as souvenirs. Over 10,000 spectators, including city officials and the police, gathered to watch the attack. Let me say that again, 10,000. That means people took time off from work. They went and got kids out of school. They had picnics. They watched this man be brutally tortured and murdered. And no one was punished for it. They're basically all accomplices to a murder, and not a single person even worried about it. People took his severed digits, his fingers and toes and chunks of his flesh, and they put them on a mantle to show off, to say, oh, look, I was there when that happened. This is what they did to him. This is how bad it got. I don't care what he did. Being tortured and burned alive was never justified in the United States. We do not do that. We are better than that. So here's Brian from Bryan, Texas, where College Station is, and Texas A&M. They're reporting on this. They say 15,000 saw him die. So they're shocking. They're shocked by this. So this is brutal. What's worse is they make postcards of this that you can buy and be like, oh, I was there. And then you send it to a friend saying, oh, look at this. This is cool. Look, I was there when this happened. This is really screwed up. Like, I don't know how to express to you how messed up this is, that people in our lifetime, people that we might be able to meet and that were alive during this, some of them thought this was not only okay, but this was a good idea. We should do this. We should teach this to our children. That is how messed up the world was at this point in time. Now, there's a lot of good stuff going on in the 1900s, a lot of great things that are changing and developing. But there's still this darker side of history. Now, I'm not saying America is bad because of this. This type of stuff has been done by all humanity all around the world for all of existence. I'm simply stating this is happening in the United States still in 1916. It should have been done away with a lot longer. And we'll see these same kind of lynchings happen all throughout the early 1900s up until the 1960s, when you have the major civil rights movement and you start getting a major push back against this type of stuff. It's going to take the progressive era, the era of Theodore Roosevelt, really begin pushing back this. Ida Wells writes article after article about lynchings and what's going on. But we still see this even in the 1960s. We'll see a video I have linked about the lynching of, I think it's 12 or 13-year-old boy for nothing more than saying hi to a white woman. That's it. He said hi to her one morning or one afternoon, and the two white men that were with her thought that was such an offense that they had to torture and kill him. This was the 1960s. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about with this, but just understand this is still happening even in the 1900s. This is still not an ideal world that we're living in. And we've come a long way, but we still have a long way to go for true equality and fairness and parity and all these kinds of things. We'll stop there for today, and we'll pick up with more next time.